You know what? I grew up as a young girl, being completely in love with this period of drama, this type of world, the romance of the Austen-esque British drama, the production design, the costumes, just the entire romance of it all. But I always knew I could not and would not see myself reflected as a central protagonist who wore those clothes, who wore the fine silks and the lovely jewelry, and who was the love interest, because I was always going to be the servant. And I wanted to change that for little girls. I wanted to change that for my nieces. I wanted to change that for little girls who I both know and don't know who are growing up. I want them to grow up in a world where they never have to grow up the way I did.
Do not be afraid. I am here to take you to a good life, a life that you were born to. I beg you, Uncle, love her as I would were I here, and ensure that she is in receipt of all that is due to her as a child of mine.
Do you have in mind my position?
That is simply impossible.
What is right can never be impossible.
What has she been named?
Dido, Belle, Lindsay.
She takes your name.
I am not ashamed.
We will call her Dido.
Am I a contradiction if I say I'm a black woman and I love Jane Austen? I hope not. I love Jane Austen. I love what she's brought to me. I love what she's brought to my ability to write. I love what she. You know, when I came across Jane Austen, I turned a corner in the way that I write, in the way that I create structure, in the way that I understand and present themes. My dream was to make an Austen-esque movie, if you like, with Amma-esque qualities, with the qualities of myself, to create my own voice, and put a woman of colour front and centre of that movie. You know, I know my producer at one point had been trying to get a movie using Dido's history off the ground, which was equally about Belle, this biracial woman, and Bet, her white cousin. This was never going to be this way for me. If I was going to tell this story, Belle was always going to be front and centre, and her cousin Elizabeth was always going to be there, but it was going to be Belle's story. So my challenge was, can I do this? Can I tell this Austen-esque story? Can I tell this traditional subgenre of British filmmaking, of British storytelling, and put this woman of colour there? And can I do it and make sure that she's universal, she appeals to everybody, but she also has those qualities that specifically speak to people of colour, as well as fulfilling audiences of all races? And I think Gugu does that. I think Gugu Mbatha-Raw as the lead in this, as the central character in this, has the power to do that. That said, I was never going to tell this story of Austen-esque genteel society. You know, her world was very much the middle class world versus the upper class world, and usually, you know, a character trying to get from one to the other. I could never tell my Austen-esque story without looking at the world and the trade that was informing that society, the world and the trade that was informing the economy of that society. And that, of course, at the time was the slave trade. I saw a print in the form of a postcard of the portrait that the film is based on, that inspired me to make this film. I saw this picture of this biracial young woman standing next to her white cousin, and in this painting they're treated with equal value. And it was the first that we know of in the UK, where a person of colour and a Caucasian person are beside each other in one portrait and treated with equal value. I looked at this portrait and I saw this combination of politics, art, history, race, everything I love. And I saw this opportunity that if I got it right, I could put together something, a vision on the screen that would connect my heart with the hearts of audiences around the world, because it would be unique and it would be inspirational and it would be illuminating as well as important.
We are to finally come out.
Elizabeth is to come out.
Dido is not.
But why?
You understand the ways of the world for a female, Dido. Elizabeth has no income.
You are to meet as many gentlemen as possible before we make the match.
When all this has gone to her father, there'll be nothing left for her.
And me?
Any gentleman of good breeding would be unlikely to form a serious attachment to Dido. And a man without would lower her position in society.
In many ways, if I'm really honest with you, I think in England we've been quite behind. I mean, we never had our Spike Lee. You had your Spike Lee all of those years ago. So I think that we're behind, and I think that we're just now starting to catch up with you. And you know, the first thing that we're doing, as any filmmaker would do, is tell stories that are really important to us, that kind of connect with our gut and our soul. And we should do that with every movie that we make. But you know, the ones that that maybe other people haven't told in the way that we want to tell them, showing our history in the way that we've wanted to show it, and putting black people at the fore in those movies, not TV, but movies, putting black people front and center, putting black actors and actresses front and center, and having them carry the burden and the glory of the movie. We're telling our stories, but we're also giving those opportunities to talented artists who can, you know, communicate those stories as actors and actresses, and therefore, you know, building names that can be box office names, that can help us finance our movies, you know, the next time round, or in 2 movies' time. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who stars in Belle, takes on the title role, her star is rising, and with Belle, I believe it will only rise even further and make her an asset to any film that she comes onto after Belle.
But it came into my head that I have been blessed with freedom twice over, as a Negro and as a woman.
I suppose you have.
Or have I? Must not a lady marry, even if she is financially secure? Well, who is she without a husband of consequence? It seems silly, like a free Negro who begs for a master.
Well, unless she marries her equal, her true equal, a man who respects her.
I hope what audiences will take away from this film is that we, people of colour, were many things, have been many things in history, and we were more than servants. I hope that they take away from this what we have the ability to do and create and change when we have love and we show courage, because this is essentially a story about courage and love. I hope that people will take away from this the question that I challenge everybody with, which is who defines you? Who will you allow to define you? Yourself or society? Who decides who you are and who you get to be in your future? And now they'll always be able to find themselves in Belle, whatever colour they are. But particularly for young girls of colour, they'll be able to look and say, I could have been her. Had I have been born in this period, that's who I could have been. I could have been more than that which has been presented to me in the past. Hi, this is Amma Asante, director of Belle. You're watching Reelblack.